Hey, what's up everyone? So yes, we've done it again and managed to secure another global first trial kill on the T6 Frozen Mines trial, triggering a resounding Jesse Pinkman moment on the entire server. They can't keep getting away with this. Anyway, when we uploaded the T5 kill, people had asked, hey, do you mind for the next trial video doing a little bit of a voiceover, maybe explaining some of the boss's mechanics? So this time I am going to go through the kill video and run through sort of our strategy, how we approach the fight, and as well, before I open the video, just show the in-game UI for the boss and show some of his abilities as they're written in the UI before jumping into the video. So let's do that together. So this is the boss here, 6th trial, breaking out from the Frozen Mines. On the right hand side here, you can click on monster details, which is always a very useful place to look if you're wondering about a trial, because it does actually show all the mechanics as well as what skills can be used to deal with that ability as well. So his first ability here is Freeze. When triggering the freeze effect, deal massive damage once and immobilize for 5 seconds. This is an extremely annoying effect, especially if he targets your healer, because your healer will basically sit there and if he doesn't die, then it's going to basically not be able to heal, and that's going to be a problem for the party. Charge Thrust is a very powerful spear that the tank does need to use some sort of damage mitigation in order to not get one shot basically half the time. So watch out for that one. Summon is by far his most annoying ability. I believe it's on a timer, and we'll look at that in the video together, but he basically summons this ad. This Mammoth Miner ad who spawns for a second, you can't target him, and then he leaps into the party and deals huge damage. Now, on our first clear, the damage he was dealing was not being able to be mitigated through barrier or banner or any other of those group mitigation abilities, so we had to come up with another strategy, which I will explain in the video. So anyway, this guy spawns, he jumps into the raid, and then after he jumps, you can target him and kill him if you are still alive. Once he dies, however, he does apply this revenge effect onto the boss. When the Mammoth Miner dies, it triggers the revenge effect, substantially increasing the boss's attack speed. So this can be dispelled. However, we didn't run a dispel on this because we found the DPS loss. The DPS was so like close without that DPS that we just didn't run a dispel and just powered through, basically kind of brute forced it. Now, we'll go through this when we show the video. So, Splitting Blade Light. So this is this big AoE that applies Frostbitten to everyone. This is something that the healer has to run Cleanse for to deal with. And then finally, he has, if you survive this long, which most people wouldn't, I'll be honest, this boss is a beast for now until he gets the debuffs from server, time elapsed since the boss opens and all that stuff. Yeah, this is his Enrage, basically. Once he reaches this cooldown, he's just going to go berserk and deal a load of damage. So, yeah, that's the boss in a nutshell. And now let me just swap over here to the video. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, so now I'm going to just let the video play out, and then I'm going to go back and maybe highlight 1 or 2 moments that I think is useful. Keep in mind that this was a first clear. The mechanics were a little more brutal than they would normally be because the boss hasn't been killed yet. It doesn't have any debuffs. As you look at the boss in the Rift menu, the trial menu, you'll actually see as time passes, as more people clear it, it gets weaker and players get stronger. But on a first clear, you don't have any of those benefits, so it's a little more challenging, and sometimes you are forced to choose strategies that are a bit like brute forcing, which we did have to do here, and I'll explain those after the video plays once. I'll go back and explain what we did there. So sit back and watch this, and then I will highlight a couple things just so you can pick it up. Maybe it'll help you in your clear. Unfortunately, my screen does freeze, but all you're missing is me getting a lucky crit on the ad right as it spawns and one-shotting it, which is best case scenario. The healer now saves his emergency big heal to heal us through this insane damage. Because, like, you know, we're brute forcing a bit. I'm not running any buff clearance on the boss just so we can focus DPS instead. And then pushing is the first time in our attempts that we're all alive, sub 10%. And the game lags. I mean, if you were there in that moment, we were like, wait, did it not count? What's going on? What's happening? The game's frozen. Guys, are we okay? Did we get it? Like, it was pure panic. It was absolutely pure panic. But thankfully, despite this game lag, which was a proper, like, the game properly lagged out, we had to actually all close and reopen the game. But luckily, we did reopen the game like 30 seconds later. And I'm going to skip forward in the video a bit. Boom. So we're back in the game. And you can see the pop-up on screen. And there we are in the ranking. So, scary moment. It was like super laggy. The game lagged out. Didn't count the kill. Then we restarted the game and it popped up. So, we did it. So now I just want to say a few things. So, obviously, the strategy we used might not work for everyone. But basically, we used one of the talent trees in the game called... let me pull it up quickly, 1 second. Because basically, well, the problem we were having, and I'll show you this first before I tell you the talent tree. So, jumping around a bit, bear with me. So this ad, when he spawns, he stays here for like 1 or 2 seconds, and then he jumps into the raid. Now, when you look at strategy guides from other versions of the game, they're like, oh, just pop a barrier, you know, you can heal through this and just use a thing. But in our version, I don't know if it's a bug, I don't know if it's intended, I don't know if it's because it's the first clear, but this is a one-shot to all of us, like the tank included. Even with barrier, even with defensive abilities, this jump one-shots the entire party. So we were like, okay, that's unusual. That's not what we were expecting. How do we deal with this? So after many attempts, we decided to put on the talent tree, which is called, I believe it's Turning Point. So the talent tree Turning Point, which I'm just going to show on screen quickly. 1 second. Turning Point. I want to show you here. It's because of this talent right here, Unyielding State. When taking fatal damage, enter an invincible state for 10 seconds. This can only be triggered once for battle. So we decided to run this talent. And that way, because here's the situation with this boss that we were in, at least. The situation we were in was that if my Crimson Ring doesn't get a lucky crit, we can't kill the ad before it jumps. So we either A, had a run where that particular Crimson Ring lucky crit and one-shot the ad, or we had to have this talent equipped so that when the ad jumps into the group and one-shots us all, we have that talent active and the healer can heal us all back up to full, and we just brute force the rest of the boss. So that's the strategy we went with. It obviously might not be the most optimal approach for all parties, but hey, if you're on one of the newer servers and you haven't unlocked this fight yet and you're going for a first clear, maybe you'll find this helpful. So basically, you know, we just decided, because the quote-unquote best method wasn't working, that we would try to brute force it a bit with this talent, and hey, it worked. We got the clear. Even if it was a bit scuffed, it worked in the end, and we were all alive at the end of the fight. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I've said as much as I think I can. If there's still any more questions you have about the best strategy in this fight, I'm still talking from a DPS perspective. I don't know 100% how to play this properly as tank, except I know when he does his big strike, the tank has to use his defensive abilities. There's the Frostbitten effect, which the healer has to use Cleanse on, and so on and so forth. But from a DPS perspective, it's really about getting DPS onto that ad, and if you can't kill the ad before he jumps, then you gotta look at another alternative. But maybe, like I said, once the trial has been beaten a few times and the boss gets debuffed and players get buffed, then that ad will start dealing less damage, and then you can survive it just with the barrier. So that's pretty much it about this fight. I hope you found that helpful, and you know, for future trials I'm definitely gonna continue explaining as much as I can. Obviously, like I said, there's going to be times like this when we maybe use a alternative or unusual strategy to get a first kill on something that might not be the best way to approach it on a normal scenario. But either way, that's a wrap for today's video. I hope you found it useful, interesting. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and don't forget to join our Discord server. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.